showtime. Dynamite Download.
Welcome to Dynamite Download, your source for positive coverage of all elite wrestling.
This is what pro wrestling should feel like.
Oh, you guys, positive energy.
I think that created a little moment in itself.
You're saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
No Mariah May, shit, boom.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
People that you need to be careful in the locker room.
I definitely think that women's wrestling has been elevated.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
I never say never about anything.
Yeah. Raw horse.
Raw horse?
Oh my god!
Amazing. I had to smack him around a few times to fully gain his respect.
It was Frankie's match.
Awesome.
This podcast is, quite frankly, the drizzling shit, if I'm being quite honest.
Did they spread positivity about AEW?
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
What's up, everybody? It is SPD, and this is episode 2 of Collision Control Center, coming out half off the presses from tonight's Collision. It was an absolute electric live show that we got from Texas. And once again, these crowds, as of late for AEW, have been just fantastic. Phenomenal, really being that essentially sixth man, if you're a basketball fan, from in the fans, the home court advantage that we're getting with these great crowds. And looking at this card that was absolutely stacked from top to bottom, I feel like last night's show was just so much smoother and better than Dynamite. And it's hard to really compare because you want to have that little bit of brand separation or show separation, because you get a lot of hard hitting matches and a lot more wrestling and Collision. But this had such a blend of everything that we love. AEW, from great promo to start off the night with Moxley saying the show starts when I say it starts, to the typical Collision beginning, the theme song, and ending the show with just such a huge, convincing promo from Kyle Fletcher. And I'm just stoked because so much of this happens. This is the Collision Control Center. We're going to just dive a little bit into Collision, get some hot thoughts off the press. And, this one was just return, two huge returns, with essentially Bandito making his return into the ring after a long hiatus with an injury, and Hologram making his injury return as well. But that Bandito versus Bounty for Bounty match, which I absolutely loved that. Jericho is saving $100,000 because the bounty hunter himself, Keith, did not defeat Bandito. And here I'm going to show you guys this graphics, another top-notch graphic from AEW. This is just, I love the way that their graphics team is handling things. And another one right here. And we've spoken about it on our show, like if these two guys teamed up and Hangman and really had like the Outlaw Crew or even the Guns, but the Bounty Hunter versus Bandito really delivered. And this showed us really why, how much we missed Bandito. And he brings like such a unique, one-of-a-kind offense to AEW. And Brian Keith really showed up. And I know it's kind of essentially kind of unfair booking to Bandito because of the home team advantage that Brian Keith had. But, man, these guys delivered. And it was a huge showcase for both men. And as much as we want to see a push with Bandito possibly dethroning Jericho, but it helped us remind us why Jericho handpicked Brian Keith to join the Learning Tree. And this was a great moment for him to shine in this match versus Bandito. Now, throughout the night, we kept seeing little bits and pieces getting us excited for what's in store for Grand Slam. But I just loved the flow of the show, from everything from the badass promos by Moxley, Dustin Rhodes, and Harley Cameron is finally getting her match. That was definitely one of the standout moments of the night, was the halftime Harley show. I mean, obviously this girl, she can do it all. Harley can do it all, from act, to sing, to wrestle, to ventriloquism, everything, like the total package. Harley Cameron, that could be like, instead of the Lex Luger total package, she could be the total package. And I feel like you could have generally see it on her face tonight that she was like so happy that she finally got that match, and like she's getting this amazing moment to shine with a true living legend in the business in the women's division, a true pioneer in the women's division with Mercedes Moné. So after weeks of mimicking and flattering Mercedes, Mercedes kind of caved in and finally is going to give her the match down under in her home country. So it's going to be such a huge moment for Harley, and she is so over. I mean, I don't know who's more over right now, her the puppet of Mercedes or Harley herself, but as we have said here on the show, protect her at all costs because huge things are coming for her in the calendar year of 2025. I firmly believe that, Mind Runner picked her as the breakout star of 2025 for his pick, and I love that pick because I firmly believe that is going to happen. One thing I'm happy to see now, I'm not necessarily loving where they're going with the United Kingdom themselves with Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Ryder Strong, three guys that have separately done some great stuff in AEW, and together hopefully we'll do some great stuff. But like, given the circumstances and the status of the trios division and trios title, I would firmly be behind the Death Riders dropping the belts because they have been really. I was looking up since August, and at it, how long ago at All In, they've only defended the titles either 4 or 5 times, and so to get them finally off them and on a fresh face and really ignite the trios division, which we saw a trios of Roosh, the LFI, essentially reform and come back, and to uh, a really convincing way. So this could be a perfect first competitors to the new champs if the United Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roger Strong do get the gold, which I would hope so. But as we've talked in the past, I really am hoping, still holding out, that I really want Rated FTR to get those trios titles. I think it'd be great because then they could go against the LFI. But for the time being, with the return of Hologram himself and Commander on Team SPD, I'm all here for a couple tag matches with, Commander and Hologram, they went one-on-one against each other and had a fantastic match. But those guys teaming up together against LFI and others is just going to be some mark out huge moments for some future AEW matches. And I'm happy to see him back. I love the way the presentation has been that he's been doing, and I'm excited to see where it goes from there. Now, the women's division, great to see after she debuted in that Casino Gauntlet match, Megan Bain back on TV, and I didn't have that on my bingo card to have her feud with Thunder Rosa, but Thunder is the typical women's wrestler who is, one of the gatekeepers of the division. She is one of those that it's iron sharpens iron in every single match and every single feud, and for her to go toe to toe with Megan Bain and start a feud there, and I'm all for that. This is going to be a brutal one where Thunder's offense is one of the most impressive ones in AEW, and so for her to go against a behemoth and Bane, it's going to be a great showcase for both ladies, and I think it's going to uplift both of their stock with this feud. Now, the Penelope Ford Thunder Rosa match also I thought was a fantastic match, and it really, as we've spoken very highly of both of these, huge fans here at Dynamite for Thunder and Penelope. We want to see more of that. We saw maybe a little hint of, is there going to be a little alliance with Bane and Ford, or it's just enemy of my enemy is my friend in a sense. So this one was a fantastic match. The exhibition match with the Glamour Mariah May, the champion, was played such a great role in the swerve with the shoe and everything with that one. It's really setting the tone for Grand Slam, and I can't wait for that match. I think of all the matches at Grand Slam, in terms of like pure storytelling, like I'm really, really excited for that Tony Storm and Mariah May match, and I'm ready for her for Timeless 2.0. Get the title, get it back, go on a run, bring Luther back, bring all that, and just go on a tear through the women's division on that. Now, one of the biggest things, I know that Collision was jam packed, a lot of great wrestling, a lot of physical wrestling, some fantastic promos setting up the stage for this upcoming week. Like I mentioned, the Dustin Rhodes promo and beyond. But I mean, SPD's top performer of the night is the one, the only Kyle Fletcher. And as I was watching the show, I was just like, okay, first off, I think Bandito is going to be my top performer. I loved his return and his victory. Brian Keith was doing some awesome stuff. And obviously, promo work aside. And then I was like, oh, Briscoe could be. I was like, whoever wins this match is going to be my top performer. And then Briscoe made the triumphant return, a lot of the close counts. But man, the cherry on top was of this match, this brutal, bloody, violent match, was the end. The promo and the passion and just standing in the ring tall, and the crowd with just like jaw on their floor, being like, whoa, what the heck is going on? And I absolutely loved it. I thought the booking was right, even though Briscoe's on Team SPD in our fantasy draft. But man, I think when they were pushing Fletcher so heavily early, like a few months ago, and then it kind of slowed down a little bit. Now I think the pedal is back on, and I wouldn't be surprised if they stole a win versus Ospreay and Kenny Omega in Australia. However, I don't think it will happen, but I wouldn't be surprised. And Fletcher, man, his stock is rising every single week, and this match was rightfully so at the main event of Collision, and it was just badass. Both guys were giving it all. Huge spots, huge violence, huge kickouts, making us feel everything in between on the roller coaster of that night, tonight on Collision. Now, this is Collision Control Center. We get pumped up about every single AEW wrestling show. So coming on here, we're going to be doing this every single week between Mindrunner and SPD, breaking things down, giving us our thoughts, getting it off our chests of the Collision Control Center. Let us know in the chat, in the comments and everything, of who your top performer was, what match stood out, and what your highlights of the show. Because looking at this, it was featured so many different people leading up to such a huge week and a couple weeks of AEW television with some huge shows coming up, and then ultimately leading up to Revolution. But thank you all for tuning in and for this episode of Collision Control Center. And we'll see you all on Dynamite Download episode 170 this Thursday.